Welcome back to Rapping Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, T the Monster here, of course, your host. And of course, as always, if you haven't, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all of your recent updates on WWE, on Monday Night Raw, on SmackDown, on PLEs, and every now and then we might drop some music for you to check into every now and then too. So, that's it. Yesterday was a St. Patrick's edition of Monday Night Raw, and they were overseas in Brussels, Belgium. Let's get right into it. So, got some notes we took here. Let's get into it. So first segment of the night, and the first thing I'm going to get into is John Cena. So John Cena came out to Brussels yesterday. He walked out very saunterly. I don't know if that's a word, just kind of made that up. He walked out to the ring, had a look on his face of like kind of disdain, whereas like he knew he kind of had to like explain himself to them people. So John Cena comes out to the ring, a heel John Cena comes out to the ring and expresses that he's not a heel, he's not a face, and that he's a human being. I get why WWE is using those words and stuff like that. They're trying to engage this newer audience that's coming in from Netflix, but what they gotta understand is like, nobody care about that shit, bro. We trying to get this shit cracking. Most people watching this shit now are probably already wrestling fans. But John Cena's segment, I got a couple things I took here on my notes. Let's just talk about this really quick. He had the fans saying "fuck you, Cena" in all kinds of languages, obviously, with them being over in Belgium. A couple things I want to touch on in his promo. Number one, it ran over pretty long. It was actually a long promo, even with Cody getting involved. But he mentioned that he's been in a 25-year toxic relationship with himself and the fans. Of course, mentioning how the fans want him to do whatever. You know, I think he referred to them as them using him as a puppet at one point. He called them sons of bitches. He told them kids. He said basically fuck them kids. It was a kid in the audience, as we all know now at this point, that he basically said that kid there in the front row, he's the reason that we're in a toxic relationship or something like that. So Cena out here going fully healing these kids. And me as a fan who's been watching John Cena literally his entire career, I like seeing this. It was a little interesting and kind of like slow building at first because it felt like, or sorry, it looked like John was a bit uncomfortable with being a heel at first. Then you can see like, or at least with me, it felt like at certain points he started to dig into it a little bit more, like, and this like kind of embraced that heel persona. So it's going to be interesting to see how they book John Cena going forward, heading into WrestleMania. As of now, we got about 1 month left. Literally like exactly 30 days until WrestleMania at this point. Today's the 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day that I'm recording this. So we got 1 month left until WrestleMania. I'm going to somehow have to figure out a way to get out there if I can, because I do want to see it for multiple reasons. We'll talk about that later on. Next thing I want to talk about is Cody Gross came out there. Cody was like, look, man, like, who are you? Like, who is this motherfucker right here talking? Like, this ain't the John Cena I know. This ain't the John Cena that I rode with back in the day. He literally said to John Cena, he was like, man, if this John Cena come and show up at WrestleMania, I'm gonna whoop his ass. Like, that's basically what he said. He said he wanted the old John Cena, basically, not some whiny bitch. Now, I want to, like, applaud Cody because Cody, as a top face in the WWE right now, supposed to be the guy that's garnering all the views and selling all the merch, which he is. He out here using words like bitch, saying fuck, all kinds of shit. So like, all right, at first Cody's reign was a little bit boring. Cody's starting to like lean into this, all right, like he's starting to turn into Cody Raheem Rhodes out here, you know what I'm saying? And this is like, all right, Cody, I like seeing this from you. I like seeing the full effort from everyone who's going against Cody, and by I mean like the people he's dancing with in the ring, John Cena and everyone else, The Rock. All of them are putting in their best work just to kind of like put Cody over and like show how great of a person, great of a wrestler and person he is, honestly. So one time for Cody, bro. Like one time, like Cody got Cena out here speechless, man. He made him get out of the ring and walk away and say he might end his retirement early. Like, god damn. Good shit, Cody. Good shit. I like that. Next thing I want to talk about is let's go into the Penta and the Kaiser match. Penta and Kaiser had a phenomenal match there over in Brussels, Belgium. They put on a solid match. Kaiser, I'm starting to fuck with him a little bit. Like I was watching his interview I think he had on Chris Van Vliet, was like learning a little bit about him a little bit more. Him and Gunther coming from where they come from and all that kind of stuff. And I earned a little bit more respect for Kaiser. He puts on great matches. And if I'm being completely honest with him, and like this year I want to see him get like a singles title for real. Him and Penta, if I'm being honest, both of those guys are, I think, some of the hottest people in the mid card right now. So shout out to Penta and Kaiser for having a solid match yesterday over in Brussels, over in Brussels, Belgium as well. Next thing I want to get into is, of course, the LWO and American Made match. Now, this felt like some political shit. This felt like the United States versus Mexico for some reason. I'm not sure why it felt like that. Maybe we could talk about that later. But what I really want to talk about in this match is not only did these two teams put on a solid, amazing match, had the crowd into it. I think the crowd was really into everything the entire night, them being over in Europe, which is like, that said, America, we gotta do better. Like, we gotta do better. These crowds, fucking Europe is cooking us. Like, for real. I'm not gonna lie, we getting cooked. But, they had a great match, LW1 America made. They put on solid match, great spots, of course. Of course, they have some high spots, you know, the Hurricanrana's going out to the ring, all kinds of things like that. But what I really want to talk about is who the fuck is in that mask? Who's in that mask? Is it Chad Luchador? What's happening? Are we going to get Lucha Chad Gable? If we're going to get Lucha Chad Gable, are we going to get him at WrestleMania? Is it going to be a completely different style from Chad Gable? If that is him under the mask. So I love the whodunit that WWE's been doing in the last couple of weeks, with different characters, of course, not just Chad Gable, but obviously they did it with Jade and Bianca. But just to see who's under this mask, it brings the intrigue and it makes you want to come back and watch more every single week. So let's see who's under that mask. I want to see Lucha Chad. I want to see an ankle lock tied into a German suplex, tied into a Hurricanrana. That'd be great. That'd be great to see. And if they are going to do Lucha Chad, who's he going to face? Who's going to be his next opponent coming up? Maybe Rey Fenix. Already got signed. But moving on. Let's get into the women. So Rhea, Bianca, and Iyo. So this segment was almost deja vu of last week, of course, with them getting each other's face, Bianca pushing Iyo. I say that to say that maybe this storyline is building Iyo. Maybe this is to make her become the next make her become the next like super diva. I don't know, super diva, but like her become the next, you know, megastar in the Divas division. So I love how those two phenomenal talent, of course, being Rhea and Bianca, are playing off each other to kind of make Iyo look great. That makes me think, like, who's going to win at WrestleMania? Like, it makes me think that for real. And I love how Rhea also kind of inserted herself into the match by signing the contract, and it's like, all right, we're gonna have a triple threat for sure, as I've been saying here on the show. So let's see how that builds up going into WrestleMania. I did like that backstage segment, of course, with all the graffiti and stuff on the walls when the women were like, oh no, she's mine. They start beating each other up too. So of course, like I said, just said, like, we're going to actually probably getting a triple threat going into that. And that was a great shot, honestly. As someone who's obviously into film, I've shot over 20 movies. That shot with all that graffiti in the background of the women fighting, great shot. Good job, WWE. Whoever the DP was and the producer of that segment, good job. Also, we had Uso and Theory. Now, I meant to talk about this earlier, right after Cena, but Uso and Theory. Now, that match came right after the Cena segment with Cody. Now, that was a squash match. Like, Austin Theory got squashed, and it's like, I'm trying to figure out why, because Austin Theory has hella potential, and he could be on his own singles run again if he wanted to. I think they are going to end up breaking up him and Grayson Waller eventually, but it's like, why did he get squashed? And I think he got squashed because maybe that Cena and Cody segment ran over a little bit and things felt a bit rushed. So it's like, all right, they had to go and get their shit in real quick because that Cena segment, he was taking his time, of course, and I think that also kind of maybe is the reason why Uso botched that splash out out for the top rope. He flipped over there and didn't hit no goddamn body but his ass on the apron, and then got in the ring and said, yeet, I'm okay. Jay, don't be doing that shit at WrestleMania. Don't you do that shit at WrestleMania, fuck your matchup and fuck up your moment. You better keep that shit clean in the way you be doing shit, with a little oomph, a little safe oomph with shit you be doing, or the shit that you safe doing. Don't do no plancha, don't do no suicide plancha, don't do no dives if you ain't sure you can do that shit now. Because we done seen you fuck it up once now. We don't want you to be that champion that be out here botching. But all right, moving on. They had the Uso and Theory thing. Last thing I want to talk about is Braun Breaker and the Finn Balor match. Now, that was a great, solid match between these two, and two great talents, of course. Anybody you can put in a ring with Finn Balor, for the most part, is going to have a great match. Braun Breaker being young and the up-and-coming stud over there in the mid-card, he put on a great match with Finn Balor. He did. He really did. I like how it like displayed both of these two's like strengths and things like that. Now, I didn't like how the show went off the air, of course, ending with all of the men just kind of like looking at each other for the most part. That leads me to say that, okay, there's obviously going to be some kind of triple threat or fatal four-way going into WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship, which I think is good business. I think that you should do that because, well, it's going to display everyone's talent that's going to be in the up-and-coming mid-card. I think you get 3 of the 4 top guys in mid-card, of course, being Braun Breaker leading with the IC title. Put them in a match at Mania, let them put on the slobber knocker, and then have some feuds kind of leak out of that going into the rest of 2025. So I do think that we're going to get either a triple threat or we're going to get a fatal four-way. As we've seen Penta, he said he's going to be coming for the championship. Dominic Mysterio was holding on the belt yesterday too. A little flash of Eddie Guerrero as well back in the day. So what is to happen? And if it is a fatal four-way, do we get Finn Balor in that match as well? So if it was a fatal four-way, do we get Finn versus Dom versus Braun Breaker versus Penta? Like, then there's the dissension of the Judgment Day immediately, you know, in that storyline too. So we got lots of places that we can go with this. Lots of places that we can go. Lastly, about involving the WWE, we got Corey Graves. Corey Graves just came back, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Graves, of course, he seemed like he was a little bit disgruntled over there on Twitter. It's great to see him back there in WWE in that announcement booth. Pat McAfee took the week off, it looks like. Corey Graves, welcome back there. You and Michael Cole, of course, sound great together as always, as does Pat McAfee and Michael Cole too. So it's good to have Corey Graves back there on TV. Good to hear your voice, my friend, and it's good to have that different, I'm gonna say nothing against Pat McAfee, but it's also good to have that different voice on there as well. So one time for Corey Graves. Last thing I want to talk about is new music. Now let me get into the rap portion of Rap and Wrestling. As I mentioned before, I'm also an artist and producer as well. And I got something I've been thinking about, and that is really quick. If Stone Cold Steve Austin is involved at WrestleMania, I will drop Rock vs. Austin 3. The third part of the series of my my series Rock vs. Austin. I'll drop the third part the day after WrestleMania Night 2, so that'll be a Monday. That'll be 4/21. If Stone Cold Steve Austin is involved at WrestleMania in any capacity, gets involved in a match, throws a punch, whatever, I will release Rock vs. Austin 3. And I'll promote it right here, and I'll promote it on Instagram and YouTube, all that shit. So, that's it. If you haven't, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe here on Rap and Wrestling. We're here every week with new videos, new shorts, and we finna have some new music too if Stone Cold Steve Austin decides to show up. And we trying to get WrestleMania here to Detroit before 2030. So, that's it. I'll see you next week. Peace.